Hi there once again, and welcome to another Expresso mechanic tutorial. And in this one we're going to be looking at conical gears, and on the screen you can see that we've got two right angle gears. And we've got another sort as well. We've got this one here, and we're going to be looking at building both of these gears and then creating the Expresso, which is obviously going to be very simple for the pair of them. That's what we're going to be about in this tutorial. So without further ado, let's see if we can make this happen. The temptation when creating these will probably be to reach for a cogwheel, command drag to copy it, make this one half the size, place it accurately, and then drop the two of them into a loft nerves and start playing around in there. Don't go there. It's not worth it. The best way to make this is to grab a cylinder. In our caps, we can make it just 2. And in the object, I'll leave the radius at 50, the height at 200, one height segment, 40 rotation segments because we want 20 teeth, and we'll leave the orientation plus Y. Actually, the height, let's change that. Let's make that 10. We only want a small height. Hit O for object so that we can see what we're doing, and then we can hit C to make the object editable. The first thing to do is select UL for loop selection, select all of these polygons, and then we'll switch to our right hand view, so F3, and then we can think in terms of moving these polygons. Now if we just move them slightly, what we can then do is put our snapping on, and we'll want grid work plane, and we'll just work with grid point. That will be fine. And then if we just go back to 3D view and reselect those, UL, and then back into our right hand view, we can then think about placing these. Now we can see that we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares from the inner to the outer edge here. So if we move our polygons up 5 squares, we're getting a right angle. And that will enable us to mesh these two gears together. So we can switch back to our 3D view, F1, and work from here. The next thing to do is select just a single polygon, and then we can use the new pattern selection to select the remainder. Now, at the moment it is set up correctly. What we'll do is just set this back to 1. We can see that we've got the 4 arrows here. Now this is the arrow that we need to select, and we can see that that's actually going to work. So if any of these are selecting, you're selecting stuff that you don't need. So make sure that these are not hot. They need to, if they're white, then you're selecting things you don't need to select. Just this one. If we set this back to 19, we've got everything that we need, and we can hit apply, and that gives us the selections for our teeth. We can then hit MS for bevel and think about what we're going to be doing here. Now the offset does want to be 1 centimeter and 3 subdivisions. That's good for that. And the extrusion, I've got it set to 5, and that will be fine. So let's hit new transform, and we can see that we've created our first gear. Another thing I'll also do is hit KL and make a loop cut just through here. Take off the snapping because I don't need that anymore, and then I can say UL and select these polygons, D for extrude, and -5 will be fine. Let's apply that, and that gives us just a bit more detail. We can then select our object, and we will command drag to copy, just move it up, and then we can rotate this through 90 degrees and get it in position. So let's just do that. Holding down the shift key, we can rotate this until we get it through 90 degrees. And then let's just position it. So if we just get a different view, we can just bring this up somewhere here. We need to go backwards, then just drop this in. And those two are meshing perfectly. So that's looking very nice. If you wish to, you can add bevel deformers to the two of them so that we get some beveling where we've got our hard edges. Up to you whether you choose to do that or not. I'm not going to do it on this occasion. What I will do, we'll bring in a null. Just call it Expresso. Give it the Expresso tag. And then we can start thinking about how we're going to rotate these things and make them work together. We'll bring in our first cylinder. We'll call this driver. And we'll call this one driven so that we can identify them easily. Drop this in here. Now driver, we need to rotate around its axis there, the rotation H. So let's just do this. Transform rotation, rotation H. And our driven, we're going to rotate around. It won't be the rotation H, even though that looks as if it is. It will actually be the rotation P. So let's do that. Transform rotation, rotation P. And then, in order to make them work, we should simply need to bring in a negate on this occasion. So let's just bring one of those in, negate. Drop it here. And connect up. And then if we rotate our driver, actually we don't need the negate, do we? We're going in the wrong direction. So on this occasion we don't need that. We can just connect the two of them and it will work fine. And there we go. So you don't always need to use a negate to make the thing work properly. But that's how you do right angle bevel gears. And they work beautifully and they look really nice. Let's move on then. Let's create a new project and we'll think in terms of what we're going to do for our next gears. As we did previously, we'll get a hold of a cylinder. Its radius will make 200, the height 20, one height segment, and this time 120 rotation segments because we want 60 teeth, and the orientation we'll leave at +Y. In our caps, on this occasion, we'll use 3 segments. Great, so we've got it that far and we can hit C to make our object editable, and we'll select the inner polygons, both at the top and the bottom, because we're going to make a hole through the middle. Let's just zoom in a little bit closer and then we can change our display to lines. Now we need to bridge across, so MB for bridge, select the top polygon, and then we've done it. We've created our hole in the center of our gear. Go back to garage shading lines and we're ready to continue. Once again, I'm going to say KL and make a loop cut, and somewhere around here will be fine. So by eye, that's where we're going to make our loop cut. Hit escape and we've got that done. The next thing to do is actually UL, but we need to be in edge mode and we need to select this edge loop. And then what we'll do is just, again, by eye, we'll raise this up to somewhere around there. We don't need to go too high, and that looks really nice. So we've got it that far. Moving on from here, what we could do, once again with our polygons, we can select one polygon. We can use our pattern selection. Not set up correctly, we need to go in this direction and we don't want that one selected. And then we can say 59 in here, and that selects everything that we need. So we'll apply. And then once again, as we did before, we can say MS for bevel, and we can work from here. Again, I think the offset here, we'll just use 1 with 3 subdivisions. 3 subdivisions there. And the extrusion will make 5. And again, that gives us pretty much what we want. What we could do, we could make our offset slightly more. Let's go 1.5. just to make it that bit more. Yeah, and I think that's just nicer. Just gives it a nice look. So there's our crown gear. That's all present and correct. I'll switch to my top view, and what we'll do is we can just select our model mode. We will move this by minus 1.5 degrees, so that just so that we get it set up correctly for what we're going to be doing next. And then we can, in our tools, axis center, and we want to basically align this correctly. Let's just execute and see where we are. Actually, that's incorrect. What I want to do is align along the world. That's what I want to do. That's it. And now I've got it where I want it. Okay, that's really nice. We've got it set up correctly. Let's go back to our 3D view. And we're ready to continue from here. We'll bring in a second cylinder and orientate it plus X, and then we can think about where we're going from here. The radius will make 60 on this occasion. The height we can leave as it is, I think. We'll make the height segments just 1, as we did before, and 40 rotation segments. And then we can move this thing backwards. Now let's just switch to our right hand view, or our front view. Our front view is better, so F4. Just move this in. Let's just switch on snapping, and we'll snap that to there. And then we can think about what we're going to do next. Now we'll switch back to our 3D view momentarily. In our caps we'll say 2, as we did earlier in the tutorial. Hit C to make this editable. Switch to polygon mode, UL. Grab a hold of these and we'll just draw them out slightly, and then switch back to our front view, so F4. And then we can work from there. Now we need to bring this forward to somewhere around, I think it's there. Yeah, that's just about to the edge of there. So that should be okay initially. If we just switch to model mode, and we'll just move this down until it's just about level with the edge there. That should be okay. We could probably possibly go a bit further. Let's have a look. If we can move it down until it's level there, that should be okay. Yeah, that should be the perfect position for that. And then we can think about working with our polygons again. So I'll switch back to my 3D view, go into polygon mode, and we're ready. Let's just see where we are. If we select our scale tool, we can just expand these out until they're just about level there. We're doing this by eye, and that should be perfectly okay. Should work out just about right, so that should do for that. Let's see where we are. I'll just zoom in a little closer. Right, at the moment this is not quite set up the way it needs to be, so once again switch back to model mode, and we'll rotate this cylinder. If we go into our coordinates, it's going to be round the position, or rotation P I should say, and we'll go minus, try 4.5, and that should be fine. That should work, I think, for us. It should work out okay. Right, that's good. I mean, we may need to make some more adjustments here and there, but we'll use this as a starting point. Go back into polygon mode, and we'll select this polygon here. And then once again, we can use the pattern selection. And we've got it set up at 19, which is fine. That's selected everything we need there, and we can just apply. MS for bevel. We've got an offset of 3 subdivisions, and an extrusion of 5. Let's try that and see if it works okay. It should be okay. Let's see where we are. And yeah, we can see that that's reasonably good. I mean, it's not 100% perfect here. What we can simply do there is move the cylinder up slightly. So in model mode, let's just move this up slightly. That's all we need to do, and then that will work okay. That should mesh fine. Let's just see what it looks like from the back. And yeah, we can see that that's okay. That's going to mesh perfectly well, I think. So that's really great. That looks nice. Fantastic. So we can think about doing the Expresso for these two now. What we'll do first, if we just switch to our right hand view and just see where we are. Let's see if we've got things set up okay. Right, we are. We're okay because we've got, well, actually we're in wall coordinates, so we're slightly off. Let's just make that correct. Go into our tools, axis center. We're already set up, so let's just execute. And now we've got that correct. That's fantastic. So all good. And again, with our cylinder here, I'm just going to switch to my top view, so F2, see where we are. Yeah, that's okay. That's all sorted out because we did that earlier. Just wanted to double check. So that's looking fine. If we call this one driver and this one driven, we can then bring our Expresso null in, give it the Expresso tag. We've got the editor open and we're ready to just bring these two in and then work out what we're going to do. So we'll drag the two in. On this occasion, our driver is going to be rotated around its rotation P. So transform rotation, rotation P, and our driven, of course, around its rotation H. So let's place that in. And then from here, we need to bring in, on this occasion, a range mapper. We definitely do need one. So let's bring one of those in. And then we can set this thing up. The input and output ranges need to be degrees. And we'll connect our rotation P to the input. We know that this is going to be 360. So one revolution of that, that's fine. So 0 to 360 is good there. Every time this rotates once, this will rotate through 120 degrees. So we'll put 120 in here and just connect them up. And let's see if that does work. If it does, we're done. So let's get a hold of our driver and just rotate. And we can see that that's working perfectly. So there wasn't even any need to minus 120. Again, we can just do 360 and 120. Let's take the snapping off because we don't need that anymore. And we can see it's working beautifully and they're meshing together exactly as we need them to. Superb. And that is how you go about creating conical gears, just by using cylinders. And you get a really, really stunning result. And that just about brings us to the end of this tutorial, because that's what I wanted to show you. So as always, I really hope you've enjoyed doing this one and that it's given you some ideas for things that you may be able to incorporate in your own projects. And if you have enjoyed the tutorial, then please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and of course, ring the bell. And wherever you happen to be on social media, please, please do share this video, because all this good stuff really does help keep the channel moving in the right direction. But anyway, that just about brings the curtain down on this one. So I'll see you very soon on the next tutorial.